welcome to another episode of the Power of Choosing podcast.
Today we're talking about trusting your intuition. And this one for me is such an interesting thing because for a long time, I'm suppressed to not trust my intuition. And the more and more as I learn, grow, and actually trust my intuition, I'm really able to follow it in ways that it doesn't necessarily always make sense, but my intuition does guide and lead me. So there are common phrases such as trust your gut. It's the same thing of leaning into and trusting that intuition. And I'm excited to see where we go on this conversation.
Yeah, I love what you said there. It doesn't always make sense because I
Mhm.
think when people say, oh, just trust your intuition, especially if you've not been used to it or you've never really done it before, it's like, but what does that mean? And
Mhm.
it's like a feeling, and it's
Mhm.
something that you definitely have to like learn and grow with.
Yes.
And when you start, it can be present in everything. And there's a vibe, there's a knowing, there's this sense of this is right for me, this isn't. And the more and more you get in touch with this intuition, this gut, this feeling of like, where do I want to go? Who am I? What feels good? It can change your life.
Mhm. Well, even as you're saying that, I'm thinking knowing yourself really helps in a way of being able to listen, follow your intuition. The more that we are in touch with who we are, the more we listen to our intuition. It really is an inherited part of all of us. And it is one of those things, it's actually a God-given gift that we've been given.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the alternative, there's something greater, bigger going on. There's things that you can't explain. There's like a knowing that you have
Mhm.
that people could call like hippie-ish or whatever it is. There is this higher power or something that is guiding us and the world is working for us, and all this kind of thinking just really helps to help you to feel in charge of your life and lead it to where you're going.
Mhm.
We just dropped our little one off at a childminder for the first time, and we were looking for childminders and we saw a few, and there was two that had availability, and they were pretty similar. The houses were pretty similar, the setup for the child was pretty similar, and one, the vibe was a no, and there wasn't really anything that I could pinpoint. It was just a no, and she was lovely, nothing wrong with her, and it wasn't right for my child. And the other one, within a couple of minutes, I was like, yes, she's the person that I would like my little girl to go with. And the more I got to know her, the more things she said that made it a definite yes. And then we dropped her off today, and she was like, oh, how are you feeling about leaving your child with me for the first time? And I honestly felt fine and safe. And even her asking that question makes me think, yes, she's the person that is going to nurture and look after my child in the way that we do. And
Mhm.
then half an hour in, we get a message from her saying, your child's adorable. I feel so grateful already. And to send that message is like, yes, she's my person. She's not giving me a list of all the things she's done. It's I love your child, which is
Mhm.
exactly what I want from a childminder. And then
Mhm.
someone else might want something completely different.
Absolutely. The big word that I keep hearing internally for me as you were speaking is it's align. So it's trusting that intuition, getting that vibe check that aligns to your own beliefs that you have and what you want for your child and what you want to provide space for them. So not only is it a vibe check, not only is it following your intuition, but it is aligned. Here you have this follow-up message reaching out to let you know that Charity has a love for your daughter. That is just a beautiful place to be. You checked out both of those locations and checked out to see what fit for you. There is that alignment, and your intuition led you to the one that is perfect for you and your family.
Yeah, and it is invisible. So that's where it can get tricky.
Mhm.
And it's the most natural thing. You hear it in parenting. Doctors will say if your child's ill or something's wrong with them and they don't seem like themselves, trust your intuition, trust your gut. You know your child the best. If they don't feel right, they feel off, then come and see us. And it seems like that's a lot to put on a parent who isn't medically trained, and it can feel a bit scary. And they fully trust that you know your child best and you will know what's right. So if things don't feel right, then you'll call a doctor. And if it feels manageable, then they trust you to know. And I think that shows that actually we all do have this intuition.
Yes. One area that I think is super important is when we don't necessarily either know ourselves or we have a lot of fear in our lives, hearing that intuition can get clouded. So I know in the past, when fear was running my life, and when I say fear was running my life, I was just scared this was going to happen or that's going to happen. So this is where we can't necessarily hear the intuition and what is right for us, because fear and intuition are basically opposites, or they can't live in the same space. There's that fight or flight. So if you're in that, you're not hearing a true intuition for yourself, unless it's run, get out of the way of a lion coming to get you. That is when it's go, but that's not necessarily intuition. That's the fear speaking. So in thinking in regards to where it gets clouded, there will be times where clients will be like, I feel a certain way, or I feel this to be true. And that feeling might not be checked in the sense of it feels true, but that might be a past hurt that's clouding that intuition from actually guiding you the right direction. So this is where I'm always going to be a proponent to speak about coaching, because I think coaching is phenomenal, but that is where having support, having someone to hear you, to check those, because I know for me, my intuition has always been present in my life, but it's not always been clear to be able to hear, to lead myself certain ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think with the kind of people I coach as well, it's people that have gotten to a place in their life. So, like young professionals who are in the work world and they've never allowed themselves to stop and think about what they want and listen to that intuition, listen to that gut feeling of like, what is right for me? Because there's been outside influences that are saying it's better to go for a job that's secure. So, become a lawyer or become a doctor or go into finance where it's like guaranteed success, money, safety, security, whatever it is that the people around you think are the things that are going to keep you happy and safe. And then you're younger, whatever, they're older, they're more wise. So you can easily trust other people and outside influences over what you think is going to make you happy. So it's that classic, no, you can't be a star on the big stage because that's never going to happen. So all this creativity and things that you have gets put aside because you're being told what's safe and what's secure is to go to university, get a good degree, and then you're set for life, which
Not necessarily.
isn't always true
Yeah,
and isn't always the recipe for a happy life. And
right.
I end up with these people that everything's fine. They've got everything that they were told they should have. They might have bought themselves a house, they're on the property ladder, they have a family or they're in a relationship, they have all the things that make you happy, and actually they're feeling a bit lost and a bit like, well, my life's fine, but why am I not waking up every day really happy? And why do I still feel like something's missing? And it's because they've stopped listening to their intuition at some point. And we need to figure out, okay, what is it that you actually want? And where can we start listening again?
For me, that question alone is the number one question for most of us. And I guess that to me ties back into the intuition is, what do you want? And a lot of times, even when I will ask it on coaching calls, or even if I'm being coached and I'm asked that, it's really this, oh my goodness, let me take a pause and let me actually really think about what it is that I want. And we don't give a lot of space for really determining what it is that we want. So, how do we know how to follow our intuition when we don't even know what we want? And so, it really is such a powerful question in general
Well, then
that
they're linked, aren't they?
they are linked.
Like our intuition will usually tell us what we want.
Yes.
So
But
it's
if we're
like,
blocking it, we can't hear it. So, they are absolutely linked. And we don't spend time thinking about what we want necessarily, or I don't necessarily think deep about what we want. So then we're blocking that intuition from being able to really help us go after what it is that we are wanting to achieve or experience in life.
mhm, absolutely. And I think it's also linked to being fully yourself in the world.
Yes.
For me, I'm really allowing myself more and more to be fully me. So
Mhm.
I'm someone who has big emotions. And from an early age, I learned that big emotions weren't okay, weren't welcome. They made people feel uncomfortable, whatever it was. And completely unintentionally by anyone I was with, that's just what I learned. So I didn't show them to people. Like every time we left my grandma's, I loved my grandma. We had such a connection. I would cry, but I'd have a duvet and I'd just like curl in my duvet, have a cry, and then I'd be okay. And then I'd be back in the room. And if I got hurt or anything, that was okay to cry. And it was just completely my made up story. So there's no blame here. That's just what I felt. And now I just allow all of anything that I'm feeling, and life's just like brighter and better.
So if it's okay, may I actually go into that? Because I think our listeners would really benefit from this in the sense of, when did you start to notice a shift between you were, what I'm hearing may not be true, but kind of blocking those big feelings? And then when did it shift over more into allowing yourself the opportunity to experience them? Is there a big movement in there?
So, no, there's not actually. And a lot of what happened with me was a slow burn of choosing into a career that I wanted, which happened to be life coaching, having life coaching myself, becoming older, becoming more comfortable in who I am, loving myself more, has just been this big shift of lots of different things.
Okay.
And me only really realizing when something happens and I'm like, oh, this would have usually resulted in XYZ. And actually now something different's happened. So then for me, it's not been this like big aha moment of this thing happened, everything changed, and now I'm reformed. It's been this long, slow process of just becoming me.
Okay.
And this is what I sometimes find hard with clients because you tend to client people that are like you, like
Oh,
the best version
absolutely.
of you. And it's super interesting. So then I'm like, oh, I want to wave my magic wand and make them how I am now. And actually, one, I don't know what that process was because it happened slowly and without me really realizing until I'm like, oh, I'm this new person now. And two, you have to go on your own journey to get there.
Right. Right.
So I don't know in answer to your question.
Okay. Well, then bringing it back to our topic of intuition, because it was a slow burn, as it was, there was no big aha. Have you also noticed your intuition as you've gone through the slow burn? Have you felt a difference there as well?
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And now I can much more easily listen to my intuition. And
Mhm.
it came massively into play with parenting. So that was something I really noticed. That was like a turning point, I think, was when we'd done lots of like groups that you do to prepare you for birth. And it was all very much like this is what you do. You birth in hospital, you blah blah blah. Like it was
Yeah.
just there's a set of rules around birthing and parenting. And then I just read this one book and it was like, you don't have to do it like this, basically. I'm like, huh. And it was just all the stuff I'd learned in life coaching taken and put into birthing that was
Yeah.
like, you can have a birth at home. You can birth in your own way. And then that just led me down a rabbit hole of, oh, if I can birth in my own way, then I can parent in my own way. And then I'd be hearing things like, so your baby needs to be out of your room at 6 months. It's just like, that's the rule. That's what everyone does. And then we were like, well, that doesn't feel like something we want to do. We had our baby in our bed, which again is something you don't do. And
Taboo. Don't do that.
yeah, and I'm really enjoying having them there. I know they're safe and I like the cuddles. It's easier for breastfeeding in the night. That just makes sense. And it's this like society's pulling you one way, and actually my intuition is pulling me another way. The more and more strong this intuition is, the more I can listen to me rather than the big noise of society. And it's just that over and over again. I'm being pulled this way. Does that feel good? No. Okay, I'm going to see what works.
Well, what's interesting about this, and I got to not with you, but I've known you throughout the whole process of prior to kids and past. So it is interesting to now reflect on it as we're talking. As someone that witnessed you, I do see how it got stronger and stronger and stronger because it was validating in the sense that whether they were sick or whatever they needed, you kept trusting your own intuition and it kept getting stronger and stronger. So it is one of those things that I talk about practicing certain things. You start to be able to hear that intuition speaking, and like breastfeeding or whatever the case might be. It did seem to be like you were just like, the body is so magical. And it is, it truly is one of those moments where birthing a child, I have not personally experienced it, but I've witnessed other people in the sense that there is such beauty to the whole process. And what an awesome opportunity to not listen to the outside noises, but to really hone in on your own intuition to grow it and grow it so that it's stronger in many moments.
Yeah. And what that does is set you up for a life that you've actually chosen. So it's one you enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I've seen in the parenting world, and this can also be translated into the rest of the world, is that if you are constantly doing things that don't feel good and you're going against your gut, your intuition, like what you believe is true, what you believe is going to be good for you and your family, then it doesn't feel good after time. And you get to a place and you're like, I don't even recognize me or who I am or what's happening here. It happens with parenting, it happens in work, it happens with friendships. We go along because that's what we're supposed to do, and we're ignoring all these warning signs. And then we're in a place and we're like, wait, how did I get here?
Mm-hmm.
How have I spent the last 10 years in finance when I don't even like numbers?
Mm-hmm.
Or how have I been the parent that didn't cuddle my kids every day because I was told that was too much? And now they don't want cuddles anymore, and I've missed out on that. And this isn't me saying there's a right way to do life and a wrong way, because everyone is different. So what
Right.
works
It's
for me isn't going to work for you, and that's the key, because people want to sell you their package of this is how life should be, and I'll help you get there. And
mhm.
actually, all we need to do, and I make it sound simple, it's not always simple, but all we need to do is ask ourselves what we want and
Yeah.
then have the right people around you to support you on that journey. But we don't need to look outside for the answers.
Hmm. When we are in a place of not really trusting ourselves, that is where the fear is breeding. So I wanted just to tie those two together because I think that was the point I was trying to make. When we have a lot of negative thinking or whatever the case might be, when we're really upset and angry and just frustrated all the time, we aren't aligned to ourselves. We can't hear the intuition, and that is blocking us. And so you're right. It is getting the right support to be able to hear the things so you can get what you want, not something that someone else wants you to buy and take care of, but what it is in your soul that you want to have fulfillment and joy and so forth. And it's not simple to do, but it is simple when you start to listen to it, because when you start to listen to it, It is. It's one of those things right now. I'm in this journey of I'm enjoying simple things in life, and everything that revolves around me is just simple. If it's simple, I'm in. If it's not simple, I'm not in within my reason of what I can and cannot do. But I do. I lean towards the simple because there's such joy in avocado toast is my thing right now. And to me, it's so simple. It's like taking an avocado and smashing it and putting it on bread. And it's really what makes my heart sing and so forth. And so that's me listening to going back to what we're talking about here, though, what do I want? It comes down for me for foods. Like, what do I want? What's going to bring me joy? And it gets to be simple, not necessarily always simple to get there, but simple once you're in practice of it.
Yeah. And I think the opposite of that is how the world likes to complicate things.
Oh, yes.
Feeling like you have to do more and be more and you're not enough. And all of these things are the opposite of intuition.
Correct.
So being a parent, you can just be with your children and have them come into your world, join them in their world. And then there's this parenting that's like, you must have activities set up from the moment they wake up to the moment they go to bed. And you have to go to all these really fun days out and document it all on social media. And it's just exhausting. And it's so easy to buy into it.
Hmm.
And I start to think, oh, I don't do all these things with them. We just washed up the other day because I wanted to wash up and they were there and they found it fun. And it's just this life doesn't have to be complicated.
Correct.
You don't have to do all the things for fear of missing out.
And that's not what we're pushed to do. We are pushed in society to really feel like we're missing out.
Yeah. Do more, be more,
Yeah.
respond
More,
immediately.
more.
Action. There. And
Yes.
action's good and doing things is good. And I'm a very much social person that likes to do things. And I'm also love the simple as well. And because I've grown this muscle of trusting my gut and my intuition, I know when I need to lean in.
Hmm.
We're laughing because I said I didn't like the word lean in, but it makes sense. I want to go towards things, and then I know when I'm being called to be still and pull back. And that's the beauty of intuition.
Well, there is a difference between masculine energy and feminine energy, and intuition is in that feminine energy. Emotions is in that feminine energy. Creativity is in that feminine energy. And really being able to, it's not saying not to have masculine energy because you want to have both, but really not having one or the other allows this harmony to happen. Action is necessary along with emotions are necessary. So having all of that really gives that beautiful harmony for one's life and being able to touch into that intuition.
Mhm. Yeah. So if we were to give our listeners one tip of how to get started in this, learning to trust your intuition, what would that be?
For me, it's just start super small, like really, really small. One small step forward. Listen to one thing that you feel called to you and just lean into that and really be able to let it play out. Everybody's intuition is different, but maybe since I'm so into it right now, lean into what you want to eat at night. Maybe there's something that's coming up like, ooh, I want eggs or whatever the case might be. It gets to be one of those things, but lean into it and just start to build that muscle would be the place where I would start. What about for you?
Yeah, so that's a great start. And then for me, it's the questioning, starting to learn to question. So you get a message asking if you want to do something,
Mm,
and rather than respond immediately like, yeah, sure, I'll do that, or no, I don't want to do that, check in like, what happened in my body? What were my thoughts when this message came in? Do I want to do this? Or
yes.
about like, what do I want to do today? Am I craving a bit of nature? Am I craving doing a puzzle? Do I need some social time? Just start to ask yourself the question, what do I want right now?
I love that because in a world where we're always accessible, whether it's like we have our phones in our hands or whatever the case might be, I love what you're saying. If something comes in, to give it a moment, not to respond right away. I think that's a beautiful place to start as well. Let it sit. Start listening to the internal, which way your body, because your body is telling you which way you want to go.
Listen, and the answers will come.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was, for me, a great episode. So thank you for coming to another episode of The Power of Choosing.
Today we were talking about trusting your intuition.